Salute the flag.
Yeah, that's whenever. It's fine. Yeah. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can have the minutes from the previous month's meeting.
The Silver Lake Township Supervisors held a regular monthly meeting on Monday, August 6, 2012 at the Silver Lake Township building. Evan Everett called the meeting to order at 7 p.m. and everyone saluted the flag. Francis Fruhan was not present. The minutes from the July meeting were read and approved on a motion made by Evan Everett and seconded by Sandy Brink. The treasurer's report was read and held for audit on a motion made by Evan Everett and seconded by Sandy Brink. Public comment. Vera Scroggins commented when WPX representative Susan Oliver attended a township meeting. She said WPX would not be drilling until the end of summer. Angel Coble said her notes reflected that drilling would be completed by the end of summer, but not the fracking. Ms. Scroggins asked if the gas company lets the township know what roads they have worked on and the amount they have spent on each road. Evan Everett explained he works with the gas companies. He says what he would like done to prepare for the traffic. He monitors their work. There is discussion regarding the work before WPX starts using it. Anything they damage, they repair. Denise Rossi asked if the township is happy with the roads they have done. Evan Everett said he is very pleased so far. Mrs. Rossi expressed concern with Laurel Lake and Quaker Lake roads. A lot of the traffic on the road is large trucks. People in the lake areas park along the road, and this narrows the road greatly and makes it difficult to get through. Mrs. Rossi also spoke about an event to support the community park. Craig Stevens spoke regarding Act 13. Mr. Stevens said WPX will be conducting another survey of his property to verify the right-of-way. Mr. Stevens said there's a pipeline to go through and will be done by eminent domain. Mr. Stevens said a documentary has been put together regarding the gas work, Truth Land. He also expressed concern regarding the water in the Dimmock area. Mrs. Rossi asked about the 4 wells at Laurel Lake that have been tested with abnormal amounts of PCE. Mr. Stevens said Wilkes University will be doing stream testing in the area to test for any potential water problems. Vera Scroggins asked if there were any complaints from residents on Mahoney Road. Evan Everett said he has not received any complaints. Chief Timber gave the police report with 40 incidents in Silver Lake Township for the month of July. Vera Scroggins asked if there was an increase in crime in the area that can be attributed to the gas companies. She said the incidents have doubled from the previous month. Chief Berg said it is summer and crime increases countywide. Chief Berg explained there's a lot of drug activity. Evan Everett gave the road report. Brown Road, which is a dirt and gravel road project, has been completed. Another dirt and gravel road project has been received for West Wilkes-Barre Turnpike. He hopes to get it started in September. The equipment for the plow has been ordered but is not in yet. Assessment permits, none. Driveway permits, none. Fireworks permits, none. Evan Everett made a motion to pay the bills as submitted. Sandy Brink seconded. Approved. As no further business was presented, Evan Everett had adjourned the meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next would be a treasurer's report.
TPS, which are payroll taxes, $1,865.80. Pennsylvania Department of Revenue, $245.10. Silver Lake Equipment Fund, $1,155.23. Silver Lake Building Fund, $355.46. Silver Lake Fire Fund, $888.60. Silver Lake Police Department, $1,990.53. Chase Card Services, $816.03. Sandy Brink, $268 even. Sandy Brink, $435 even. Tim Berg, $823.56. Evan Everett, $342.30. Evan Everett, $974.31. Francis Fruhan, $342.30. Francis Fruhan, $102.15. Ed Noack, $370.57. Chris Short, $934.35. Michael Hornick, $568.89. Levi Tiffany, $368.99. John Walker, $183 even. John Nagy, $502.36. Geisinger, 1,090.60. Miller's Auto Connection, 68 even. Frontier, 281.43. Claverack, 174.79. Ednoic, 524.08. Chris Short, 934.35. Timberg, 823.56. Levi Tiffany, 443.63. John Walker, 183 even. Michael Hornick, excuse me, 590.03. Evan Everett, 974.31. Seth Everett, 940.83. Sandy Rink, 371 even. Tim Berg, 823.58. Evan Everett, 974.31. Seth Everett, 940.83. Bennett's Auto, 42.45. Bob O'Reilly and Son, 575 even. Chase Card Services, 592.03. Cintas, 285.04. Damascus Quarry, 16,499.66. Foz Construction, 837 even. Susquehanna Disposal, 45 even. Williams Oil and Propane, 1,099.09. Michael Hornick, 590.03. Levi Tiffany, 271.48. John Walker, 183 even. John Nagy, $39.69. Gannett Central Newspapers, 45.83. Andre and Son, 72.60. J&G Excavating, 3,815 even. Sandy Brink, 268 even. Started with a balance of $218,809.71. Receipts at $111,595.63. Disbursements, $58,037.83, leaving a balance of $272,367.51. State funds. State funds, Bradco Supply, $23.76. DA Lubricants, $242.38. Damascus Quarries, $5,514.21. Five Star Equipment, $1,650 even. Montrose Auto Parts, $25.40. Talmadge Tire, $429.95. Williams Oil, $3,093.04. Five Star Equipment, $1,355 even. J&G Excavating, $625 even. Started with a balance of $157,437.92. Receipts at $2.08. Disbursements, $17,583.74, leaving a balance of $139,856.26. Equipment Fund, John Nagy, $198.98, and John Nagy, $11.66. Started with a balance of $96,018.38. Receipts at $4,975.86. Disbursements at $210.64, leaving a balance of $100,783.60. Building Fund, People's National Bank, $1,002.81.43. John Nagy, $61.21, and John Nagy, $3.59. Started with a balance of $20,003.59. Receipts at $2,901.96. Disbursements at $1,346.23, leaving a balance of $21,559.32. And Fire Fund, Silver Lake Fire Company, $5,142.43. John Nagy, $8.97. Started with a balance of $617.87. Receipts at $4,543.55. Disbursements at $5,151.40, leaving a balance of $10.02.
Make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
I'd like to have a question.
Sure.
Where is Damascus Stone or
Quarries,
Quarry? That's
called.
called Damascus? Didn't it used to be called something else?
They go by a lot of names, but TNT or...
TNT in Damascus.
Oh, so that's the name? Oh, I never heard the name, that's what I was wondering.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. General correspondence. Township has received notice from ARM Group on behalf of WPX Energy regarding proposed well pads and access driveways for the following. Murphy property on Woodland Road and the Powers property on Woodland Road, 2 separate pads, sharing the same access drive on Woodland Road. I assume one permit, one disturbance, since they're connected by the road. Do you have any others?
That was it.
Where is Woodland Road?
Off of State Route 4002 between Murphy's Four Corners and Trocanuck Township.
Okay. Public comment? I got something.
Yeah. Just informational for everybody that's leased with Chesapeake. Of course, they're abandoning the Marcellus, that just came out. They're going for wet gas, so forget about them drilling here in the area. They might sell it to somebody else, but I haven't heard that they're gonna do that. They were forced to renegotiate 4,400 leases in New York that they'd signed and extended beyond the legal 10-year. And then they just won a court case where they could take production costs. So a bunch of people in Bradford County, their checks are down 80 or 90% because they're yanking production costs they weren't allowed to do the last couple of years. So nobody's very happy over there that are getting royalty checks.
You said that is in court right now?
No, they already got, yeah, the Attorney General got involved in New York State and read the leases and said you can't sign somebody up in 1999 and they expire in 2009, a 10-year lease, and they extended them. They called it options. Well, the Attorney General didn't agree, so he's forcing them to remove them. My problem is just that's who I'm leased with, and a lot of people here are, although some were with WPX, which used to be Williams, which used to be Alta. But I'm hearing they only have one rig, so if you're thinking they're going to get to your property anytime soon, that'll be hard to do with one rig in the whole county. But they're also in Chesapeake in an antitrust suit in Michigan. They went in and price fixed with another company and got in trouble. I'm not upset with Chesapeake, I'm just concerned about the whole industry. It looks like they're going to wet gas or oil, which is a lot more money for them now because the price has plummeted for natural gas. But there's a real good write-up on the Marcellus Education Fact Sheet from Penn State Extension on Pennsylvania farms with the Marcellus. They've had a drop in about 20% of farmers in the state of Pennsylvania since '05 or '07 because they just get out of the farming business. But my problem is going to be if the money drops too much, maybe don't give up the farm until you get some checks for a good long time. But that's just my main concern was that also for farmers, I don't run a dairy farm or anything like that, but if you run a farm, they're treated exactly like a restaurant is. They're public water supply if you produce anything that leaves the farm. If the eggs and milk are staying on your farm, you're a private water well that provides water to your family and to your animals. But if you send eggs or milk out, if nobody knows this, the state calls you a public water source, which means if there's a change in your water at all and you don't report it and they find out later, they come back to you and say, why didn't you communicate with us? Because the water that you water your animals with is leaving this farm in the eggs and the milk. So if you don't know, I found that out just by asking a question, but they sent back a determination on it, and that is a public water source. So any farmers, just make sure you got a choice. If your water changes, I'm not saying it will, but if it does, you can stay quiet. But if it found out later when it's tested, and there was a time period that you didn't announce it, it becomes a problem with Safe Drinking Water Act or the Clean Water Act. It's just as a protection for the local farmers, because I know there's a lot of them. Just make sure you cover yourself, and if there's changes, at least report them. You don't want to get caught having withheld that information. But I'm just kind of concerned about Chesapeake's bailing out. Hopefully they'll sell the leases to somebody else, but it doesn't look like they're going to do it right now. They're withholding them.
Okay. Thanks. You done with?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else?
I also got this past week, I wrote letters to the editor. I write them periodically, and I wrote one about water, the changes in water, what you can look for, and I got a call from a farmer, dairy farmer in Springville, and they were telling me about the changes of water to their water since the gas wells came in next to their property. And that was this past few months when they finished fracking and drilling. So they have changes now, and I told them to call the DEP, which they hadn't done yet, and I said the DEP will test your water for free. If there's ever any changes after drilling and fracking, you call them up and tell them what you are experiencing, and you'll get a free test, and they'll verify if there's anything wrong with it. So I spoke to 2 dairy farmers in Springville the past week, and they both report changes in their water and concerns. And they also told me about their royalty checks, and that the royalties are way down, And they're figuring it averages about $30 an acre that they're getting per month. And they're also getting a lot of production costs are taken out. So right now, they were figuring 26% of their monthly check is going towards production costs. So they were concerned about that and upset because they weren't sure that there was going to be production costs. So look in your leases, see if that's mentioned in your lease that they can take out production costs, because that can be substantial. And as they're now hurting for more money, the price of gas is way down, they're pushing for more costs to be covered. And that would be, I would say that's it for now.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Okay. Y'all want to,
Oh,
got something to say?
well,
You gotta read it.
we have a dusty road, and it's gotten to the point where it's just not bearable anymore. I know when I was here, I think it was last year,
I think it was before I was here, wasn't it?
Probably.
That's probably at least 3.
last year or the year before. At the time, I was told that if I needed the road brined, all I would have to do was call. But the times I did call, I'm not sure when the brining was done, but there didn't seem to be a real significant amount of reduction in dust. And I spoke with Evan on the phone. He was very nice. He called me and tried to explain to me what the particular problems were, but it's not helping us with our problems. And Bill and I, as well as our neighbors, we're suffering. It's, it's a breathing hazard. It's, the dust and the dirt is just, you just can't get rid of it. So we need something done. The options that you told me about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be on your camera. I don't want to.
Hang on.
You're not on the camera.
Okay.
It's legal, it's a public meeting.
She's panning the audience.
Go. She has the floor. Let's,
You're interrupting the floor.
go ahead.
Well, the short of it is that apparently, I was told that the budget doesn't permit, doing anything with the road. That's just not acceptable. I mean, we're in a very sorry state, especially now with the gas well. The traffic that goes up and down the road has increased dramatically. I mean, I don't have to tell anybody that. That's going to be pretty obvious, even though most of the construction people are coming from the Silver Lake Road. The workers and traffic alone, I mean, when we moved there were 5 homes, now there's 20. I mean, that alone is just increasing and increasing, and it seems to me that obviously these people are being taxed, the revenue has to be going up. I know our taxes are going up, so there's got to be some relief for us.
But then Evan said that maybe they talked to a gas company.
I did, and they said, I mean, you're not gonna be able to pin them down for
Right.
their own personal vehicles, but I was told they were all going out, if it's different, if there's dump trucks and stuff coming by, or, heavy equipment, they'll definitely do something, but I spoke to the guy and he said that they were not using that end. And I mean, I understand what you're saying about, a couple vehicles, or even if it was 10 a day, it's a lot more than you're normally used to, and I mean,
Not 10 vehicles, 10 construction vehicles.
yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm not talking the, normal people that go
Right,
up and
okay.
down the road, because yes, there is quite a bit of traffic on the road, and like I told you on the phone, we're gonna try to be able to do some calcium next year, but it's just, I mean, it's a huge dollar amount, and I know none of the other townships around most of them are using this salt brine, the same as we are. And it's what we put it down as soon as we work the road to get it to compact back down, but to take it and spread it afterwards, it really doesn't do a lot for
You mean the
road.
brine, spreading the brine
Yeah,
afterwards? So
Yeah,
what
no.
is the brine? Is that just water?
It's water and salt,
Mm.
and it draws the moisture out of there. The calcium chloride will draw the moisture out there at a lower humidity point, which, so it works better, but on the other hand, it's over $1 a gallon spread. You know, and like I said, we would like to do it. I mean, it's gonna help you guys and it's gonna help the roads, but, you know, at this point, you know, we're just, you know, it's too much.
So what you're saying is that we just have to deal with it?
Well, is what I recommended, and I've recommended it to a lot of people that called. They purchase either, you know, flake calcium and put it on, and we've had people do that right after we work the road, or if a number of
Are you talking about the township roads?
Yeah.
People would actually go out.
Vestal asphalt, if you got together and say you had a,
But that, you know, Evan, you know, I really appreciate the thought, but, you know, I don't think that's.
Well, I did it next to our house. We went to Andrews, we purchased the stuff. I mean, I work for the township, and I'm not gonna take and do anything different next to our house than I could at anybody else's. So I went and I purchased the stuff. My brother and I bought it, we put it on the road by ourselves.
Well, adding to this particular problem that we have is that, you know, we do have what they call prevailing westerlies, and
Right.
if there's any breeze at all, the
Right,
dust starts all the way up from Van Zandt-Bergens,
And
all the way
comes
down.
down,
Yeah,
yeah.
it does. It just inundates every single one of us.
Well, we're gonna try to do something more next year with it, and we'll do our best for you. I mean, I'd love to spray every road with calcium, but it's just,
Well, this is not every road. This is, I mean, we're looking
Right.
at a significant problem.
right, and we've got the problems other places. Pops Hobby Lake Road is terrible. You know, we've done different stuff to try to stop it, and it's been extraordinarily dry this year. Way more than, like, you know, last year we had a dry summer, but, you know, it's been dry, and we go 15 days without getting rain, or, you know, so, and that causes a big problem for us.
The other thing we need to talk about also, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, I live right next to Bill and Nancy, and it's not, the big trucks stay up on the
Right,
paved road,
right.
within reason.
Right.
You get a lot of smaller trucks up and down, but the amount of physical traffic up and down the
Right,
road, it's
right.
not 10 cars, I mean, it's
Oh,
times
yeah,
1,000
oh, yeah.
of what it used to
Yeah,
be.
yeah, oh yeah. I
We're
know
in the
that.
same boat, you cannot keep the dust off your house.
Right,
You can't open a window, you can't open a door,
right,
it just comes in and floods the house.
right.
And there's gotta be something outside of, we'll try to get to it next year. I mean, that doesn't even seem
I
right.
mean, we're working all the roads with a, you know, limited amount of funds, and I can't pull money out of nowheres to do that, and especially if we do it in front of your guys' place, we're gonna be doing it to about 30-some miles of road. You know, I'm not saying we have to do it the full length of the road, but there's other places that are just as bad as at your guys'.
Did they come here and complain?
We've had some complaints.
Well,
Some of our complaints have been solved by the gas company because they're spreading calcium on the
That's what I wanted to
roads.
ask you. I mean, do you have some pull with the gas company to spray?
Well, they're not
calcium?
gonna do it, if they're not using the road, if they're not running it with heavy equipment, they're not gonna spray it. You know, I mean, they've spent, I couldn't even guess what they've spent on dust control on the roads they're using. But, and like I said, we're gonna try next year to try to do something better. I just don't know what we're gonna be able to do. I mean, we're gonna work at it.
When it comes to the budget, where did the budget go this year? I mean, we got a little bit.
We've done the same thing we've done every year. We've been doing this, we've been spreading salt brine for probably we've spread it since I started for the township in about 2003. We haven't spread any calcium, if any, you know, it was if we couldn't get it, and then we would cut it with water to make it go farther, and that doesn't. If you're gonna get a good job out of the calcium, you gotta buy it and put it on as is to get it.
So if you're saying the salt brine isn't very effective, why
It
do you
helps.
keep doing it?
It helps harden the road back down after we work it. That's why we put it down after we work it, and it will harden the road down and makes a harder road, but is what the dust comes from is, you get the road all packed back down and smooth, and you think it's great, and as the cars go over it, they loosen up, you know, they grind the stones up and loosen up the dirt, and then it's, you know.
I know in Bradford County, they use a truck and they actually put like a tar down in front of the
Right,
houses. Have
right.
you ever
And
thought
that-
about that?
That's
anything more expensive?
Yeah, that's more expensive than calcium, yeah.
It's extremely effective though.
Oh,
I will
yeah,
tell you that.
it is. They used to do that here, I mean, years ago.
There's an oil too, I don't know if it's even legal anymore.
they've done away with some of it, but there is dust oil.
Yeah.
Is that available to you?
Dust oil?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can you get it on our road?
No, it's more than calcium. If we can't afford calcium, I'm sure not buying dust oil.
Does it last any longer, the dust oil than the calcium?
Never used it.
I took a drive, you know, I think yesterday and last week, and the dust, I know it's been a lot worse. It wasn't that bad. I was going slow and I could see clouds down Britton Road when I was coming down yours. I don't know if you've applied anything recently, but I know it's been a lot worse. But would you say the last 3 or 4 days is tolerable, intolerable still?
It's damp outside.
Yeah.
Well,
It does, well, today it is, yeah.
Right, but it doesn't take long
Depends on
to
what the
dry
rain
back
is.
out.
Oh, absolutely not, no, and, well, why couldn't you just brine it, do something? I mean, it just.
Well, we'll,
They did grind it.
yeah, we can,
After you scraped it up,
right,
okay.
we can do it again, but I'm telling you, it's not gonna, you're not gonna get what you expect out of it. But,
Is that road treated just like all the other roads in
yes,
the township?
yeah.
Okay.
Quick one, the brine, where does the brine?
Let me get to Lynn.
We get dust from 2 different dirt roads, Britton Road and Lake Arrowhead. And there's a lot of heavy trucks up and down Britton Road recently.
Gas
No, dump trucks, triaxle dumps,
from,
going down
if
Britton
you're,
Road
if
and
we're
back.
gonna, if Williams or whoever the gas company is that's gonna pay for it, I've gotta,
Your camera on the audience.
you know, I've gotta be able, you know, if it's Doug's story, I mean, he's just local, you know, and I realize he creates a lot of dust too, you know, but,
But he drives pretty slow compared to the rest of them.
right, yeah.
Drivers like you do.
Will Sloat told us that the first day that we encountered him and were talking to him, and he said that all the well traffic was gonna come from the top of the road. And
Right.
the next day, we were talking to him about something else, and he said, I'm sorry, I told you that, don't quote me on it. It is you know, they're.
They've changed, but, I mean, pretty much now that you saw what they've done with Upper End, the 90% of it's gonna come from that way, you know? And is there gonna be an occasional truck that gets out of place and probably comes down through? Probably.
Well, I haven't taken any photographs, but, you know, I think I might just do that. You know, we're so close to the road, I'll just take my camera and take
Right,
some shots, because it just, I mean, it really is intolerable. I mean,
Okay.
you gotta do something.
All right.
Well, are you guys suggesting us as neighbors approach WPX instead of the
I
township?
think that's the way to go.
What's that?
Approach WPX.
They have more
Yeah,
money.
there you go.
I know that, Mike, but I've already asked them.
Oh,
I've asked the guy that's in charge of the road, right after I talked with Mrs. Brown, I called him, and I asked him, I said, are you sure your vehicles are going up the road? And he says, yes.
Well, that's impossible. There's so much traffic on this road. I mean,
Well,
it's,
I'm talking heavy traffic.
it's still there. The reason all the traffic is on the road is because of the well pad. It's not like it just all of a sudden everybody decided to use that
But
road.
it is a public road too.
I'm right there with you, but the Bracknian's right down there.
Right.
Everybody's
Oh, yeah.
coming down for lunch. It's loaded.
Right. Right,
The brine, where do you guys get it from?
upstate New York. I think it's Hartford, New York.
Yeah.
It's tested, it's done through DEP, they have the results.
To recommend, they're very responsive. You're calling and you have, maybe there's a lease, I don't know if you guys are leased with them or not, but if you're with WPX. I don't know if you have a lease with
No.
them, which is not part of, but if they are, if anybody on that road is, they can call. At least they'll respond to the individuals. It might be better to give, because you guys are budgetary constrained.
Right.
Might be better for each person to call, and because they're gonna get some response,
Right.
whether it's no, but I'd recommend it.
Try it anyway.
That's the way to go.
Why not? Why
It
not?
won't hurt to try it.
Right.
And I'm telling, they can do a job, for sure. They can keep the dust down, because they have on some of the other roads, but, you know, and then on the other hand, it's not, they're not here forever. You know, but like I said, we are gonna look into trying to do something different next year. I don't know if there's anything else out there, we've looked into some, but we'll do our best.
Do you have a better contact than we might have for WPX? Somebody to
Well, that
call?
Will Sloat would be he's a good contact. I don't have his number.
What's his name, sorry?
Will Sloat.
The Scott fella gave us a card.
The Scott Miller, also Scott Miller,
Yeah.
and we have numbers for him. He's the PR person.
What's his name?
Scott Miller. I can get you a number. Sloth is a landman. He's not like a
Yeah, he's
PR.
more about, works with landowners,
He's a
putting
landman.
drives and well pads in.
And he also pushes for the leases, so he's a lease man. So he wouldn't help you with that.
There is one more order of business that we need to bring up, and that is that the ditch that takes water off our hill and goes across the lower part of our, or the eastern part of our property, it needs to be dug out again.
Below your
It's just-
house?
Yeah, it's just filled in. There is a fence there.
They will come down, take the fence down.
It's just one long,
Right,
It's a barway.
right. Okay, we'll take a look at that.
and bring some brine when you come.
Or bring the oil.
Now, I have some used oil. I don't want to get fined.
Take it to a garage and have them recycle it.
They'd better do that.
No, don't use that.
I kind of have a problem with the video camera. I mean, I realize that you guys are elected officials, so you've given up some of your personal privacy rights, whatever. We have not. I watched Vera's tape on YouTube last month because I wasn't here. She's panning the audience. She leaves it on after the meeting. Do you think that's a question that, and I know you can't do one person's bidding, but would that be appropriate for you to run by your solicitor? Or do I have to pay for an attorney to see if I have to be on YouTube every time I come to a township meeting?
I don't know about panning the audience. I know that, they can video us.
Well, I don't care if they video you, but I don't want to be
That
on
I
YouTube.
do not know that, and I do understand that recording before and after meeting could be like a wiretap related issue with people without their permission.
Well, the camera was on after the meeting for quite a while because I watched it on YouTube.
Okay.
Well, would you, and you don't have to answer me now if you need to think about it, would you discuss amongst yourselves whether that would be a question appropriate to run by the township solicitor, or is that something I'd have to contact a lawyer myself? Because I find it to be, I don't know, I mean, here we are as a small township coming together to discuss our concerns and issues, and I don't like being on YouTube, and I haven't been elected to office. I don't feel like I should have to give up any of my privacy
I've
rights.
discussed it briefly, not in detail with the solicitor, and anything we talk about, we'll talk about right here, as far as whether to contact.
And whether or not other people, I mean, not tonight, I don't mean, but maybe if a number of people that regularly attend the meeting had a problem with it. I mean, I don't expect you to ask your solicitor a question for me, for one citizen, but, it's ridiculous. It's disruptive to the meeting, and I think people that love to be on camera, maybe it's great, but for a lot of people, I think it's, I don't know if it's meant to be intimidating or what, but I find it offensive, and I feel like that my privacy is being violated. And I feel strongly about that, so I'd really like for you guys to talk about that and get back to me if you would. Thank you.
All right, anybody else have any other questions? All right, we gotta wrap this up.
Just real quick.
Last question about this issue, then we gotta move on.
No, it's just,
What
like,
issue?
Or whatever state.
I've looked at it extensively, and normally the places have that go in the back, which means everybody is.
Yeah, I was
on
looking
it,
for a
so-
lawyer's advice, actually.
So, you'd want to look.
Yeah, I know that you think you can do
Okay,
it.
Kim, all right, let's,
Okay, move on.
time to move on.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, new business.
Wait a second, you're calling the meeting over? There's still public comment. How can you shut off the meeting?
We can't keep going back and forth, back and forth.
I'm discussing another issue here. You're not even asking for further public comment.
What is your issue? Just wrap it up. Whatever you need to say, please.
I'm quick. I don't go
Okay,
long.
go ahead.
So I'd like to know if you have any more information about what's happening at Laurel Lake, where we have the PCE contamination. 4 homes are without water. They have to have water brought in. They can't use their water. So do you know anything further? What's going on with the
A
DEP?
gentleman from the DEP stopped at the building here and talked to me, and he said they've done testing around at other private wells around the place. I believe it's 5 wells. They are gonna be putting a system in each house, the DEP is, to take care of that. After they're gonna, foot the bill to put the system in, then it's the homeowner's responsibility to take it over after that. But it's just 5 wells, and like I said, they went around and tested other ones, and they're taking care of it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. New business. Jim, you had contacted me about potentially updating the website. If you want to explain to everybody and to us.
Sure. The website the township has now was designed in about 2004. When it was designed, the standards of building a website were significantly different than they are now. You can see it fine on a desktop computer, but it doesn't look very good on an iPad or a smartphone. The standards that it was built to are now disparaged officially, so they will drop the support at some point in time for the way it's built. I am suggesting that we update the township website, and since much more people have broadband access to the web now versus dial-up that was there in 2004, we can use a lot more photographs and such, which uses more bandwidth, but is more interesting to look at. I can do it, and I can do it for you for nothing, but I need a software upgrade in order to do it. That software upgrade is $800.25. People would want to know exactly what it was. I would like the township to consider underwriting $100 of that $800 for me, because I'm willing to work for free, but I'm not anxious to work and pay for it at the same time.
Okay. All right, so let me kind of put together a motion here so we consider it. So, a motion to underwrite $100 of
Software.
Is it possible for the township to pay for the whole software, Francis?
I mean, we don't.
It's certainly possible, but I do this for other people, and I'm asking them to reach in their pocket too. So
And
I think it's fair to say $100 worth is fair.
What does that cost of your
$800.25. That's with tax, shipping, and the base charge.
Well, why don't you ask for the whole thing? If you're doing this for free, why don't you ask for the whole 800?
People are paying for it too.
That's what
Well,
he's
I'm
asking
asking other
for.
people to ante up too.
Oh,
hang
other
on.
people are
This
paying.
is the only people.
We'll bring this up for discussion and questions in a minute. Let me just put this motion together, or put the question on the floor. And you can ask questions, and Jim will probably be the one to answer them.
Oh, I got one more question. I heard secondhand that each municipality, township, was to get $500,000 from gas company through the state. Is that true?
That's called Act 13. We have some
What's that?
summaries. Wait, is it Act 13?
Yes.
All right, let's wrap this up. I'll kind of bring that up again, tell you where you can get some information, other information,
Probably after.
and I'll tell you what I know
was just
about it.
curious.
Okay.
You get familiar.
So how's this read, Jim, and other supervisors, a motion for the township to underwrite $100 of your $800.25, or $100 of your software costs in order to upgrade the township website? Okay. All right, well, I make a motion to put the question on the floor if we should, underwrite $100 of software cost for Jim Chambers to upgrade the township website. Second? Okay. Any questions, discussions?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Okay,
Good idea.
okay.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, thank you for being reasonable.
Okay, anything else, or? Okay, well, I guess we'll take a vote to do that. All in favor? Aye. Aye, thanks everybody. Okay, that's passed.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for offering, Jim, that's Jim. Okay, next, it's called a resolution for public participation. It's really kind of a public comment resolution, and our solicitor, worked up a draft for us, and I emailed you this earlier today, and I pretty much just stuck it on our letterhead, and everything else is the same. And I'll read it out, and we'll consider it tonight whether we want to. You don't have to vote on it or table it, I'll to read. All right. Name of this resolution would be public participation. Resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Silver Lake Township hereby resolves to adopt rules and regulations governing public comment and public participation at regular or special meetings of the Board of Supervisors as follows. 1. The Board of Supervisors shall provide a reasonable opportunity at each advertised regular meeting and advertised special meeting for residents and taxpayers of the township to comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before the Board of Supervisors prior to taking official action. The chairman of the board shall preside over the public comment period and may, within his discretion, following items: A, recognize individuals wishing to offer comment; B, require identification of such person; C, allocate available time among the individuals wishing to comment; D, rule out of order, scandalous, impertinent, or redundant comments, or any comment the discernible purpose of which is to disrupt or prevent the conduct of the business meeting. 3, the time allocated for public comment period at each meeting shall be 5 minutes per person. 4, in the event there is insufficient time for public comments at the meeting, the Board of Supervisors, at its discretion, may defer the public comment period to a meeting held in advance of the next regular or special meeting, or until the next regular or special meeting. And it's adopted this day of blah, 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 space for signatures and secretary seal. And a lot of this, the solicitor just drafted up, a lot of this is right out of the Sunshine Law. Pretty much what we've been doing. There's a 5 time limit. He recommended a range. The norm is 3 to 4. He suggested 4. He put 5 in the draft, and I don't know that we've really had anybody exceed 5 minutes yet. That sounds like a reasonable time. So you're familiar with enough with it, you want to maybe discuss it, potentially, put the motion on the floor to adopt it, table it, or?
I say put a motion on the floor to adopt that.
Okay, Sandy, you? Okay. Okay.
20 times 5.
Okay, I'll put a motion on the floor that we discuss and consider for adoption the public participation resolution I just read. Okay. Let's hear something.
In the beginning there, you said for residents and taxpayers of
Yep.
the state of Silver Lake Township? I didn't hear that.
residents and taxpayers of the township. So I would think that's sufficient. Okay.
Who is your solicitor?
It's Paul Litwin,
Who is it, Mitwin?
Litwin, Litwin. He
And
has
where
an
is,
office in Tunkhannock.
he's in Tunkhannock? And why did you feel that you had to have this type of resolution at this time?
Oh, this is something we've probably been talking about over a year doing.
And anything prompted? What is prompting the need for it?
I think it's a good thing to have one. Is there anything, I mean, that you find the comment period too short, too long, any?
No, I don't. I find also that restricting whoever is here, whether they're a resident or not, I don't feel that's necessary.
Well, I mean,
I
we can
do.
legally do that even without a resolution. I mean, I mean, I've been told that I can lawfully do that at any meeting. We're just putting it in writing. And that's-
Lawfully,
I
you can
lawfully-
restrict someone who's not a resident from speaking?
If they're not a township resident or a taxpayer, that is.
I support that.
Me too.
Yeah, well, how could they be here?
That's right, this is our meeting.
All right, anybody like to be recognized and speak there? Yeah.
I was wondering, is that 5 minutes for the entire meeting, or is that
I mean, it's
promotion
a
on the floor?
cumulative time, and
A
that would be for
cumulative
the
time.
meeting. Now, for the
Okay.
public comment period. Once, say a person uses their 5 minutes up during public comment,
Mhm.
their public comment time, and then we bring up a motion to take some action, adopt, whatever, then we open up a public comment period again for that. Then that person would have a chance to speak on that issue also.
Is there a time limit then?
I would say it would fall under the 5 minutes.
So that's-
But it'd be very
but that's
restricted.
restricted to the motion on the
That's
floor.
not a second public comment period. It's very specifically focused at the motion we're making, and the comments have to be directed toward that. It's just not another, session for somebody to start, talking about whatever.
I see, okay, thank you.
Angie?
I like to talk a lot, but I think that I could get my point across in less time than 5 minutes, and if we all take 5 minutes, we're gonna be here all night. I think you need to
I was
shorten.
hoping nobody would. We really haven't had, I don't think you guys have really gone
I
over
really
3.
think you
So,
need to shorten that a little bit. I would think that no more than 3 minutes, because if you're prepared to bring up an issue, you'll have it all down pat. You won't have all this extra stuff in, you'll get right to the
I
point.
guess we'll consider that. And if it really becomes where it becomes, we can always look at it again. I'm hoping we don't have that problem.
I've been to a lot of township meetings all over the place, New York and everything. This is one of the shortest that we go to. I mean,
Really?
besides the county commissioners have 10 minutes and they want to run out the door, which is interesting, but they'll stay and listen. But no, you guys the meeting's handled really well. You guys keep it under control. I'm very impressed. And so having a time limit, especially if you allow when a new topic comes up, the person can speak again, that sounds reasonable.
Well, that's during the,
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. When you do a specific thing that they can do something.
yeah, that's during new business. We're about to do an action, yeah. And you can comment on every action.
The only thing I heard in it that seemed interesting was being able to push it to the beginning of the other one, which I would agree, but you guys rarely go over half an hour, 45 minutes here, so.
I guess it's there, I mean, and he's mentioned that even without resolution, that you can do that, and I just soon get it over
The
with.
longest one I've ever
myself
seen
and
here was
do
one
it,
that you held in the
know.
shop. That was the longest one we've ever had where everybody was in the shop instead of over here. And I was new to the area, but no, it sounds reasonable. It sounds like you're giving everybody opportunity to speak.
And that's the purpose of it, yeah. Just that kind of-
You could also be
Okay,
polite.
but the,
I'd like to ask for some politeness and not
Everybody,
rudeness.
hey, look.
I'd like
you
some
weren't recognized
politeness.
here. Everybody.
No, I'm
be
talking
quiet.
about here, they're making
You're not
comments.
recognized here, come on, no back and forth.
Rudeness,
You either behind,
rudeness,
do
and
not talk back and forth, please.
be polite if you want
To
politeness.
the front when you're recognized. All right. Lost track of what I did. All right, we made a motion to put this, to consider this for adoption. We just heard the public comments. Essentially, you guys, what do you think about the 5 minutes? I'm okay with the 5, and
I'm okay with
I
it for
don't-
right now, I guess.
yeah. Let's see how this flies. Hopefully it works out good. And, so as is, you ready to take a vote? Okay. All in favor of adopting this resolution? It would be, in this case, entitled resolution number 2012-103, public petition, as read and, without modifying. All in favor? Aye. Okay, all in favor, all in favor, okay. All right. Okay, update on the Forest Lake Township Police contract here. Okay, for the last, I think since the beginning of the year, 2010, we've had a contract, police services contract for Forest Lake Township. That agreement expires at the end of this year, and there's provisions for negotiating and renewal in the contract. So on July 19th, I received a letter from Forest Lake Township Supervisor Frank Pinkowski. This was at a Northern Tier Coalition meeting after the meeting. And I'll just read the letter because he kind of provides a summary of some of the contract provisions too. Rather than say it twice, I'll read his letter. And this was addressed to the township and then specifically to me. And this is Frank's letter. He's acting liaison party on behalf of Forest Lake Township. It is my understanding that our mutual agreement contract to have police services provided to Forest Lake Township by Silver Lake Township expires on December 31st, 2012. The existing contract states that the parties confer not less than 90 days prior to the expiration date of December 31st, 2012 to resolve, and this is quotation from the contract, on such terms, conditions, and such charges as may be agreeable to both parties. It is Forest Lake Township's respectful request that we begin that process so that way we may review and negotiate any terms Silver Lake Township may offer. Sincerely, Frank J. Pinkowski, Supervisor of Police Liaison. Okay. All right, I spoke with Frank on the phone several times, and I met with him last Tuesday at his office in Montrose. I was in town, so I'll give a kind of a summary of my conversation with Frank, which is also serves as a summary of my other doings here related to that. Okay, I told Frank that I notified the other supervisors of the letter, and I provided them with a copy. Also emailed a copy of his letter, as well as a copy of our current police contract to our solicitor. He did have some issues with the contract, offered to review them with me if I wished. I did not get the details as of that time, but I told him I would be discussing these issues with the solicitor. I'd also heard from, and this is what I told Frank, I'd also heard from several sources that Forest Lake Township would be starting their own police department. And I asked Frank if they had voted to start a department. Frank said they had only voted to start looking into the formation of a department. And that's kind of a paraphrase, so I hope I'm interpreting that what he said correctly. And I asked Frank if he could get me a copy of the pertinent meeting minutes, their Forest Lake Township meeting minutes pertaining to their vote on that. And I hadn't received a copy yet. I did tell Frank that I was not authorized. I mean, he's essentially requesting a proposal, and that I was not authorized to propose any numbers to him. And at this time, I wasn't ready, to spend the time doing that. Working up a price and a proposal. I did ask Frank if he had a number in mind, a dollar cost in mind for a yearly contract amount of what they would consider paying for a contract, rather than whatever their starting apartment or whatever their other options are. Frank said that he did not have a number, but he would look at a number and evaluate it against their other options. His main criteria was that the cost of services or a police department or contract does not put their township in debt, and that they receive value for the price. I told Frank that I would, at the next board supervisors meeting, I would update them as well as the the public, and we'll discuss how to proceed. Okay, I then contacted our solicitor and discussed the contract, and the methods of proceeding. And here's a summary, based on my discussions with the solicitor, my discussions and interpretations with him. If we wish to proceed, we should vote to do so, at a meeting. The steps would be incremental and may take a few months, and I guess that's hence the 90-day period stipulated in the contract. It would take time. We'd set up, work sessions with the Forest Lake Township supervisors, our police chief, and among ourselves to review costs and issues. One supervisor could be authorized to negotiate with Forest Lake Township and work with our solicitor with the contract and report back to the other supervisors at a meeting or a work session as appropriate. We can then, if necessary, we can adjust, the course of action, course of negotiations, whatever. And then, if things keep going, the solicitor, he would, revise the proposed contract using a contract template from one of his municipalities that already has a police contract services. He'd want to start from scratch rather than just using the existing contract as a boilerplate, or start from one of his contracts he's already written and is in effect. Right, and he also recommended that it would be done with an hourly agreement rather than a lump sum yearly fee agreement. And if we're close to finalizing the agreement, and then we'll contact the solicitor for further steps. That's pretty much where we stand. I mean, that's about everything I can put down on paper to update everybody with. And I guess the question is, do we want to proceed at this point? I met with them, and do we want to proceed with negotiations with the new contract? So I guess I would, put the question on the floor. I think of the wording here. Anybody like to make a motion to put the question on the floor to proceed with negotiations with Forest Lake Township to renew the contract with Forest Lake Township for police services?
No.
Hang on, George. If the motion goes on the floor, we'll open it up for discussion. So, if you didn't hear it, I'll repeat the motion again, just to make sure you heard it. Essentially, would anybody like to make a motion to put the question on the floor to proceed with negotiations with Forest Lake Township to renew the contract with Forest Lake Township for police services? Any interest? Same? Okay. Myself, I'm not interested in doing that. So really, there's no motion. We should have take some sort of action, as far as putting this to bed, contacting Forest Lake Township. Let's see. So I guess I would put a motion on the floor that we notify Forest Lake Township by letter. I'll write the letter that we will not be proceeding with negotiations for or to renew a police services contract with Forest Lake Township.
I'll second that.
Okay, let's open that up for comment. Any questions about the motion and what we're doing, or any comments from people? Yep.
Well, I guess I've got a couple of questions. Right now, we're under a lump sum agreement with them for a year?
Yeah, over 3 years, it averaged 40 grand a year.
Okay. Do we have any numbers of how we made out with the amount of time our police department spent over there? Like, did we make a profit on the deal? Or?
I don't think there's certainly a profit to the township at all from that. I mean, most of that money was...
Then my second question would be if they talk about or propose an hourly rate or something. This came up months ago, okay? I can't remember a couple of the gentlemen back here, but come up with $100 a call or something like that, or it seems to me that with an hourly rate, we could make out better than with a lump sum, but.
Yeah, what we had was a lump sum with that we provide a minimum of 40 hours a week coverage, and there's also provisions to somewhat like provide like services or similar services that we do here. And that's pretty much what I believe we've been doing. And I mean, really, we've been having, rather than 40 hours, we've been having generally in excess of 80 hours a week that they're available. And what the solicitor recommended, and he felt this to be fair to both townships, would be to have an hourly rate for one rate if you're present in the township, like on calls or patrols, if you're doing, say, court time or whatever, investigations related to cases there, or paperwork. So anything related specifically to Forest Lake Township, patrol time, cases and related stuff, would be one rate. That would be an hourly rate. And then there would also be a rate that would be like on call time. Say we spent an hour and a half in Forest Lake Township, physically and on case time, whatever, then we'd bill them for an hour and a half at this rate. And then the rest of the day, say it was availability time that we were here, maybe in this township patrolling or in the office doing paperwork or something that they could respond to a call, that would also be billed. So a typical day, you may have 6 hours of availability, 2 hours of patrol time. And I assume things like training where they're working but not available, say, all officers are at a training seminar, then we'd have to build that cost into a fee so that they would cover, they would cover their fair share of those kind of expenses, like the more hidden costs. Any other questions or comments on this?
Which way am I reading this? You guys want to abandon any agreement with Forest Lake, or you wish to continue some form of agreement?
All right, we have a contract that expiring at the end of this year.
Right.
All right. I basically gave an update how we proceed either way. If we went forward, what some of the steps would be. I asked for a motion that if anybody wanted to proceed, to make a motion that will proceed negotiations. None of the supervisors made a motion, and I don't intend to make a motion to proceed with negotiations. So that's essentially saying that we're not looking to renew. That's what that is. And now, rather than just say we're not renewing and let it die and I think we should have some kind of action rather than just de facto letting it be put to bed. We should put it to bed with some kind of action that we do receive public comment and we notify them, what our intentions are. And these things were just questions George asked regarding if we were doing that, what the solicitor's recommendations would be if we were to do that. So I was trying to, explain both avenues as best I could. Any other questions or comments on that?
Generally, it's viewed as spreading your costs over a larger group, so it allows you to have more hours of coverage but a lesser rate. It sounds like if we only do it for ourselves, we're going to be, we don't have much to spread the cost of the police department over. Is there a reason why we don't?
Well, there's pros and cons to it. There's pros and cons. And I'll tell you, this is my personal thoughts. I think it's a liability to the township. I think it's a diversion of time from focusing on Silver Lake Township. I think it's a diversion of supervisor time. And I think there's a lot of issues that we need to focus on our own township. And me personally, it's not compatible with my, essentially, not compatible with my view on limited government. That's my opinion. Other supervisors may have different opinions. That's where I'm coming from personally. So. Anybody else?
Do you anticipate downsizing the department?
I don't know what we're not even discussing that. We'll see what we can do the best we can with everything. Try to maintain everything we can. But that we'd have to work on that like during, probably our budget work sessions and you know, we'll let you know when we're working on the police ones, and, you know, those will be public. Whenever we get close to budget time, we'll advertise, you know, when we're gonna hold our work sessions. Generally, we're doing it, I don't know if we did 2 or,
I think we did 3, I think.
okay. Well, you know, I guess when we get to that point, we can advertise a number of them, and if we wrap up, we don't have to, you know, continue. Maybe we can do 1 a week for a certain amount of time up until pretty much the deadline. If we get done the week before, then we're done. We just put a note on it or something. So I'll talk to the solicitor about that. And we'll need when that gets closer. 'Cause I think we'll have a little more budget work to do this year than next year. Any other questions, comment on that issue? Okay. All right. I guess it's been deliberated. Public comment. I guess we'll vote whether or not we'll notify Arrowhead Township that we, I guess, do not wish to negotiate and that, or to renew the contract with them for police services, contracted police services. So, all in favor? Aye. Okay. That's all in favor. Everybody's approved. So, okay. I'll put that letter together and just send it out. I've got these guys. Okay. And there's also just you know Frank's now the liaison for this contract, and just earlier this year I was appointed police liaison. They really didn't get specific into you know that it was specifically for this, but just to kind of make sure things are tidy. There's a provision in here that you know each municipality shall appoint. I'll just read it. You know, if I find the section. Liaison, this is section 11.7 of the contract, which is posted online. During the term of this agreement, Silver Lake and Forest Lake will agree upon a supervisor from each respective municipality to act as liaison between the 2 municipalities and the Silver Lake Police Department. So, this we just discussed as far as appointing one of us to do that. Would anybody make a want to put a motion on the floor to do that?
I'll make a motion. You want this case?
I will second quick.
Okay. All right, up for discussion here. Any questions, comments on that? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else I'm forgetting that you guys can think of? Okay. That's the end of new business.
Could you said you might give us an overview of Act 13?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I did say I'd do that. Act 13, if I have the name correct, it's called it might be called a gas well impact fee. It's an impact fee rather than a tax. It's paid for, you know, by the operators or the gas company. There's a scale, a table that's based, you know, it's based on the year, the first year through year 1 through year 15 in one column, and the top it's based on the price of gas, anywhere from $1.50 to whatever, 10, 12 bucks. And depending on what the current value of the gas is, there's a different fee per year per well. When we first mentioned this many months ago, I think it was in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $45,000 per well for the first year. And there have been numbers floating around. I've seen nothing official. I have seen, like, there's websites that you can go to, put your township number, and they have estimates. You know, a lot of these, you know, like the people that are tracking the land X, they have these little websites where they'll, you know, track the permits, the number of wells, and all. So they kind of put together their sheet. I've seen where Silver Lake, and this is expected, and I'm not counting on it until I see it, like $90,000 to $150,000. Other townships that are further developed, $500,000. But there's a limit, you know, it's kind of based on your past budgets and stuff.
Which
so
is the $500,000.
Yeah, okay.
You cannot get, once you go over the $500,000, the state takes it out of your hand.
Cumulative?
Yeah, the state over the years period. The state takes care of the rest.
And they take many millions off the top before this is even divvied up. There's like a, and if you go to the website, Jim set up a, I even forget is it just titled Act 13 or something like that, impact fee, to the left. You hit that, and there are a number of summaries. They should be in PDF format. I mean, I kind of put them together. One came from PSATs, that's the Supervisors Association, the other from the Borough Association. A couple of Q&As from like the Public Utility Commission. So they're kind of summaries and synopsises. And we, ask the solicitor about that, and he said, proceed with your budget as if you are not getting that money. And once he becomes a lot more familiar with it, he'll and there's certain ways you can spend it too. It's
Restricted ways, you mean?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's certain things you can spend it on. I mean, one of them is the tax reduction too, and that's one of the ways.
And
So.
roads maybe? Well, yeah.
It's impact fee. If there's certain impacts, it should be what it's designed. It's a gas well impact fee. So I would think it would be responsible for us. I mean, I just speak for myself to look at, well, hey, what are the impacts? Well, and let's try to address those with the money. That's what it's intended for.
So the Silver Lake Township website is the one to go to get additional information?
Some additional, and this is probably for, when did we go to that commissioners meeting? It's about that time. The commissioners had a meeting and probably half the supervisors in the county were there. And this is several months old. But when we get more information, we'll bring it up. And if we get, I don't know what we'll have to do next year. Maybe we'd have to, if we want to give it, maybe we'd have to have special meetings or adopt. I don't know how it's going to pan out. Once our solicitor gets more up to speed with it, we'll find out.
Okay.
Okay, sorry for forgetting about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, police report.
Evening, folks. For the month, we had 39 incidents. We had 2 medicals, 2 burglar alarms, 1 animal complaint, 2 burglaries, 1 disorderly conduct, 1 domestic dispute, 1 drug arrest, 1 report of erratic driver, 1 case of fraud, 2 reports of gunshots fired, 3 miscellaneous investigations, 3 motor vehicle accidents, 2 stolen motor vehicles, 1 noise complaint, 3 traffic pursuits in which there was 2 arrests made there, and 1 reported trees down. We did some traffic stops and 1 welfare check.
All right. Thank you.
I have a question.
Hang on, Vera. To the front, please. All comments.
But I want to talk to,
All comments are to the Board of Supervisors. That's
I want to ask the chief also that you did a traffic report at least twice that I thought I heard about, where they count the cars that go by, and you put something on there to count how many cars go by, and I never saw what the final results are. Can the chief refer to that?
Do you know anything about, are you talking about those strips that go across the roads here and there?
Yeah, they count the amount of cars that go by over a period of time. And how many cars did you count on Quaker Lake Road, on Laurel Lake Road, wherever it was? I'd like to know the amounts.
Were those state?
And when it was done?
Yeah, it was the state that did it, but they gave me the report because I'm the one that requested it. I gave the supervisors last month. You weren't here for it. But I gave the supervisors the results.
Okay.
So can we have those results? Can we hear what the results are? How many cars are going by Quaker Lake, Laurel Lake, wherever it was set up? Can we get those results?
I guess we'll bring them next meeting?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have the next meeting.
If you'd like me to provide them, I can do it at another time. I do have the results.
Yeah, sure. All right.
So you can have it the next meeting?
Yeah, we'll bring them next meeting. How many pages is the whole thing anyway?
It's like 3 or 4 pages. I didn't want to burn off a whole bunch of copies and then be wasting the.
Did they have old data too to kind of compare it to?
The last one, well, we do it every year, but last year they didn't send me any data. I think the last time was probably like 3 or 4 years ago, and I don't know if I have the data for that or not.
Okay, maybe they still have it. Do you have contacts for that? Is that?
I do, but I don't know if they would have it or not.
Okay.
If they don't give me a report, that means that they did the speed miters just as a courtesy thing to remind people in the area to slow down. Usually I request the data, and I requested it last year and never got it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Were all those calls in our township?
Yes.
Thank you.
That'll be posted online too, probably in a few days, it should be on there. Okay. All right, road report?
I guess we're pretty well finished up with our grading of the roads. We have a Township project from last year. We're gonna be finishing on John C. McNamara Drive. It's just it's about 3/10 of a mile. I mentioned the dirt gravel road project last month. We're gonna be probably starting that, I'm gonna say the second week of September. And a couple meetings ago, I had talked about a traffic study on Murphy's Four Corners. We had sent a letter to PennDOT and Dunmore, and they're gonna be doing that traffic study, and I would hope within the next couple meetings we'll have some results on that of if they think there's any safety upgrades they can do to the intersection to make it a little safer. Any question?
Is that Dave that you contacted?
No,
No, okay.
no. His name's Keith Williams. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Assessment permits, none issued last month. Bribery permits, anything new for anybody? Okay. Fireworks permits, none last month. That's pretty much it. Okay, I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Just for